Hello and welcome back to the Growing Together podcast. We thought we'd do something a little bit more fun today. So we're going to be chatting a little bit about relationship green flags. Everyone always talks about the red flags, but let's look at it on a more positive note and talk about the green flags. So we're just going to go through a list of green flags that show up in a relationship, which are green flags, which means go. And then I'm gonna be asking Joshi to remember moments, surprise, where these green flags flew in our relationship, just to make it fun. Okay, so the first green flag is that they apologize when they are wrong. So I think this shows so much maturity and vulnerability from someone when they can actually admit that they were wrong, firstly, and apologize, secondly.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, it shows a lot of ownership within yourself, not just your partner, but also shows like that you've dealt with a lot of your ego. Because when you are wrong and you're trying to fight that you're not wrong, guess what happens? You keep fighting back and forth. But if you acknowledge that you were wrong, guess what happens?
Exactly.
Peace and harmony.
I was actually putting a lesson together and I was talking about how when you do land up having an argument with a loved one, you get your emotions so riled up that the point of your argument becomes being right and winning instead of resolving the conflict.
That's true.
So yeah, I think this is an amazing green flag when someone is willing to admit that they were wrong and apologize. It shows personal growth, it shows personal development. And like we said from day one, a conscious relationship is when two people are constantly and consistently bettering themselves on an individual level and together as a couple. So that's green flag number one. Do you have any memories of when
you apologizing to me?
Yes, that stood out.
To be honest with you, in the beginning, not so much. Well, purely because I don't remember like most of my 20s. So yeah, I do. Sasha Fierce had come out a few times when we were very drunk.
Sasha Fierce is my drunken alter ego.
Yeah, she's hectic.
She's no longer there.
She's no longer there, but still. She came out and I was very confused as to like, who is this person? Like, what the hell? Like, it was just very confusing times for me. And then the next day when we made up and we saw each other, you apologized. And like, I'm so sorry for how I behaved and acted, which I really liked. I thought, okay, well, she was wrong. She was, I mean, I was also a part to play, I guess, but your reaction was way overboard. And yeah, you apologized to me and I was like, okay, that's really cool. She admits she was wrong. I apologize back for obviously not handling the situation well. It was a good sign.
Amazing.
I do remember that, Sasha.
Oh, the memories. Okay, green flag number 2 is that their words and behaviors align.
Oh, that's huge. Because there's the old age-old saying, talk is cheap. And that goes for it. Oh, I'll never do that again. I'm so sorry how bad. Guess what? And you keep repeating what you're doing, which means that you're actually just talking shit at the end of the day. You don't mean what you say. You're not following through on your promises. So that person cannot be trusted.
100%. And I think it's so important to remember that love is not a noun. Love is a verb. And that means love means actions. And actions always speak louder than words. So this is such an amazing green flag when people say one thing and do what they say they're going to do. Because I can tell you right now, I've been in so many relationships where I was told one thing and the actions were completely contradictory to what I was told. And it just creates this inner conflict and this conflict within your relationship because there's this constant, but you said this and you did this, and it's just a never-ending tunnel.
If you're in a relationship and I'm in trouble now because I've done something wrong, I'm going to say whatever you want to hear to get rid of that moment, that awkwardness, that I'm in trouble moment. Week later, 2 weeks later, I don't care anymore. I'm just going to carry on doing what I'm doing and I'm just going to apologize. You're going to forgive me and we're going to carry on. But nothing gets resolved that way. You've lost trust in me because I promised you something which I haven't delivered. And I'm guilty of that. I can just, as we're speaking about, I've got memories popping up. Like, okay, that was me. That's definitely me. I try to do my best now to follow through when I say I'm not going to do this or I'm going to do that. But yeah, that's a big thing. That's huge for me.
So tell me about a memory that pops up for you.
No, just in past relationships being told, listen, you said one thing to me and you completely just go and disregard that and you keep doing it. You do your words mean anything, or you actually don't make a change? And obviously at the time I'm good with my words, spin a story and I'm forgiven, but I actually never took the action to make a change.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting because when Josh was still single, after his last relationship, he made a promise to himself that he was never going to be dishonest in a relationship again.
Yeah.
The goal must just accept him for who he is, being 100% honest, and that's that.
Yeah.
And I think that's so aligned with words and behaviors aligning, because when you are honest, your actions and your behaviors are always going to align with what you say. And also,
if you're honest, you cannot be caught out. Because the truth will always come out in some way or form. Even down the line, 10, 20 years, it's always going to come out. So, but if you're honest from the start, you can't lie, you can't get caught up, because, it might be awkward and hard at first to say the honest truth or do the honest thing. But afterwards, you're cool, because there's no way of you getting caught out for what you're covering.
Love that. Okay, green flag number 3 is that they encourage your connections with others. This is a big one. Yeah. I know, especially when I was younger in relationships, you almost let that person control your life, especially if you're with someone who has toxic traits. Maybe it's jealousy, maybe it's possession, maybe it's anger management, whatever it is. That person tends to let you know what you can and cannot do. You can have these friends, you can't spend time with these friends. You can go here, but you can't go there. There's always these rules that they put into your life that land up controlling you, which should never be in a relationship. If you have that communication and that honesty and that trust, there should be no rules.
Yeah, because a lot of the time, the person giving those rules, you can't go out, you can't do that, they're probably the ones guilty of doing that exact same thing.
100%. 100%.
Just saying.
So when you have a partner who actually encourages you to spend time with your friends, with your family, whatever it may be, that is such a green flag, because it already goes to show that that person doesn't have any hidden agenda of controlling you now or hopefully down the line.
Sure. It also shows that person's comfortable enough with themselves to trust you enough to go and do whatever you feel doing. You break that trust, that person automatically now is going to be on the defensive. Guess what? Your life is going to be quite hard because they know what you're up to and they don't want you to do that anymore. So I think that's just a red flag if that person is obviously not trusting you. But if you are the one that's giving them reason not to trust you, then you need to look at yourself as well.
It's a two-way street.
It's a two-way street.
I love that.
You can't be the one going out and having a jaw with your mates and telling your partner, whoa, what are you doing? You can't go out with your friends during the week.
Yeah.
It has to be a two-way street.
There's no place for hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Amazing. So instead of me asking you a memory about this green flag, I actually want to talk about it, because I think that's one of the most beautiful things about our relationship from day one, was that we never told each other, you can do this, you can't do that. Yeah. Be home by this time. Don't go out with that friend. It was always, go have fun, live your best life. I'll see you when you get home. If you're going to be late, let me know, just so that I can sleep well. There's never been
there hasn't
any control.
I think maybe that comes with age and maturity. I suppose also in a place where you're okay with who you are, so that you don't have to worry about your partner. Because I mean, a lot of the time when you're insecure and jealous about your partner, it's generally because you've got an issue with yourself.
Or it could just be from past traumas.
So there could be a few factors for that, but
it's just a sign that you have some work to do, some healing to do.
Definitely.
Amazing. Okay, green flag number 4. They speak about their ex-partners with respect.
Yeah, that's good. That is good.
I think this has been a huge, the past few months have been a huge period of shadow work and diving deep into my psyche and my past and my toxic cycles that I found myself in. And ex-partners, it's such a touchy subject and a trigger warning, because it can be so hard to speak about your ex with respect, especially if it ended in a horrific way. But it shows so much personal growth, maturity, whatever, all those beautiful things, when you can speak respectfully about your ex-partners.
Yeah. You know, a lot of the time after the breakup, there's always going to be heightened emotions on both sides. So from the one side, his mates will be like, oh my God, what a bitch. She's this, she's that. From her side, what a bastard. He's cheating this. So you're always going to have that influence of other people helping you. It's okay. He was a doer. She was a doer. You know, that doesn't help either. And also because the hurt and the emotion is so strong in the beginning, all you're looking for is the negatives in that person to justify why you're not with him, to make yourself feel better. Okay, but then over time, you start to realize, if you actually take a step back, you realize half the time you were just as to blame as that person. So you can actually start looking at the positives and learn from that. So I'm also guilty of bad-mouthing ex-partners because of the breakups. But also, if I look back at it now, a lot of that was down to me and my part I had to play in it.
I was actually going to say, with my digging deep into my past relationships, I've always put the blame on them. And I sat down one night and I was really just thinking about it and realized that I was as much to blame as they were. I'm not saying that what they did was right, but I'm not saying that what they did was, what's the word? Unwarranted.
Unjustified?
Yeah. And it can be the shittest thing. It could be cheating. It could be abuse, whatever it is. You generally do play some kind of a role. Yeah. And if you don't, because there's always this situation where you just dated an absolute asshole or bitch. A little exercise you can do if you're finding it really hard not to speak respectfully of your ex is to just have gratitude for the lessons that you learned from that partner. You learned what you don't want, the red flags to look for, how to handle yourself in unfortunate situations. There's so many lessons that you take from any partnership you have. So if anything, if you're struggling to look back and see any light from these relationships, look at the lessons that you gained from being with this person and everything they might have put you through, and really just have gratitude for that. Because when you start to reframe memories with a sense of gratitude, it already lifts the vibration and lifts that kind of icky feeling off your shoulders, because you are reframing the way that you look at that situation.
Exactly.
Alrighty, red flag number 5. They communicate clearly and honesty. I mean, that should, yes, honestly, sorry. We've spoken about communication at length, but this, if you start dating someone who really is just amazing at communicating everything with you and communicating honesty, that's a green flag in itself. I don't think we even need to touch more on that. Okay, next one is that they set, honor, and respect boundaries. Okay. So boundaries are basically putting things in place that let the other person know how you will and will not allow to be treated. So whether it's time boundaries or space boundaries or whatever boundaries it may be, being able to set and actually enforce and honor these boundaries in a relationship is so important. Because as soon as you cross someone's boundaries, it's a sign of disrespect to that person, even if you might not be realizing that you are crossing a boundary. And that's why the communication of those boundaries is so important, because if you do not communicate,
the partner doesn't know what your boundary line is.
Exactly. So really, if you are in a relationship now, whether it's been 10 years or 10 days, really start to think about the boundaries that you would like to set in place with your partner, and then sit down with them and just chat about it with them. Because like we said, if that person doesn't know where your boundaries are, you can't get upset with them if they cross your boundaries, because they don't know that they're crossing boundaries. And even if they do know and they cross them, it's a perfect opportunity for you to bring it up with them and be like, this is a situation where I feel like boundaries are being crossed, because these are my boundaries, this is what's happened. Just to remind, because some people might understand the boundary but not understand it in motion, in action,
or be able to communicate it properly.
Okay, so that's an amazing green flag. I love that one. Okay, next one is that they show up authentically and offer you space to do the same. If you are in a relationship where you are not 100% authentically being yourself, it's a sign that you need to reassess that relationship.
Correct.
I think a lot of us go into relationships for the wrong reasons. I don't know if you can hear Dobby breathing in the background there. But at the end of the day, your relationship is only going to be as successful as raw and real and honest and authentic that you are with your partner.
Because a lot of the time, even you don't even have to have your partner try and make you who they want them to you to be. A lot of the time, you yourself will be like, wow, okay, this person likes a bad boy, so let me try and be a bad boy, or she might like this or might like that. So you try and be a person you think that they want you to be, which is not being true to who you really are. Okay. And that has nothing to do with them. They haven't told you to be anything. It's just, you almost think, okay, this person you assume this person likes a certain person. And that's also not being true to who you are.
100%.
And that will show in the relationship down the line.
No, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. Like, you go into these relationships with false pretenses of who you are, what you like, favorite activities, whatever it is that you bend and mold according to what you think your partner wants. And then you get to this point in your relationship where you guys just start to clash and you can't figure out why. And it's because you've had to become something that is not you anymore. Yeah. And that person loves that idea of the person that you've pretended to be, but it's not you at soul level. Yeah. And unfortunately, relationships like that are never going to work because we're never going to be happy. They might work, you might hold on to them, but they're never going to give you ultimate fulfillment and happiness because you are not being loved for who you truly are.
That's exactly right.
Do you have a moment that reminds you?
Yeah, just obviously just never, like I said, just assuming that the person there wanted me to be a certain way, act a certain way, dress a certain way, listen to certain types of music. Whereas I didn't really like the music or the way they dressed or the attitude, but I thought this is going to get me in there. She likes this kind of guy, because you just assume that.
And how did that turn out for you?
Not well. Not well at all. Case in point.
Okay, next green flag is that they are intentional about resolving conflict. So, I mean, we kind of touched on this with the first green flag of apologizing when you're wrong, but intention is a beautiful recipe for anything. I think when you go into anything with an intention, you have focus of what you want to achieve. So in conflict, I think it's so important to always just stop and take a deep breath and remember, I want to resolve this issue, not I want to fight with my partner until I can prove that I'm right. And that will always be such a beautiful way to start any conversation or argument, whatever it may be, because you've already gone in with the intention that you want to resolve, not to win. Yeah. And everything, every decision, every word you say after that will be in line with that intention.
Spot on.
Okay. Next one is that they are actively working on growth and healing. I feel like we've touched on most of these things through everything, but if your partner is not doing anything that's pushing them out of their comfort zone or facing their fears or making them grow a little bit or making them learn a new skill or anything that essentially is up-leveling you to a new version of yourself, you're both going to get stuck. And
you might find that one partner decides they're going to work on themselves, they get a bit of oomph, and then all of a sudden, what happens to your relationship? Oh no, we just grew apart, going in different directions. That could have been avoided. Because I mean, I would feel the same way, and I suppose you would too, if you were out training, doing your yoga, putting in work after hours, really working on yourself in every aspect, and you get home and there's Big Daddy lying on the couch, fat, drinking lagies, chowing biltong, watching Netflix. How was your day? Yeah, no, I'll work tomorrow. I mean, that to me, you're completely out of sync with each other.
It's not to say that you both have to be doing the exact same things, but I think it's just seeing in your partner that motivation, that drive, that vigor for improving themselves.
But it's an attractive quality to see in somebody else.
And it can be anything. It doesn't mean
sure.
If your partner doesn't train, it doesn't mean he's not working on himself. Maybe he's building his business, or maybe he's doing some kind of a course to up level, or maybe he's started meditating or like journaling.
Because you're going to be vibrating on different frequencies. If you are a healthy person working on yourself, your energy levels and your vibrations completely different to a person that's just eating junk and not really putting in anything to themselves. So you're going to be vibrating on different kind of frequencies in your relationship. So it's never going to really align either.
And I think that's how couples do grow apart, because maybe one person is working on themselves, motivated to achieve some specific goal, where the other one's just kind of stuck, doing the same thing every day, same thing every weekend, going on the same holiday every December. And it just, their values don't align anymore, because the one person's striving for more, where the other one's just complacent in where they are.
True.
So it is so important to actively work on growth and healing individually and together as a couple.
Yes.
Okay, green flag. I don't know what number we're on. They share compatible goals for the relationship. We spoke about this in our goal setting episode. So if you missed that, you can go and have a listen to it. But there's nothing better than coming together and having shared goals as a couple. And it doesn't have to be in every aspect of life. Maybe it's one thing, maybe it's 4 things. Like we have a bucket list that we're busy compiling of places we want to go. Doesn't mean we're going to go to all of them. Doesn't mean that we'll, even if we only go to 2 of them. The point is that we are getting excited together about the potential of achieving certain things together. So maybe find 2 or 3 things that you and your partner have in common. Like me and Josh love adventures and being outdoors. So we've got hiking goals together and we've got holiday goals together. We also have common goals of undoing certain limiting beliefs. So we find courses that we can do together. It's just that extra level of bonding and companionship and excitement together. I think it's so important that you have shared goals.
It's nice to see the person you're with wake up and you can see that they're happy and they're excited to do what they're doing, because that makes you feel good, because it shows that your partner, the person you really care about, is in a good space. They're happy where they are, and also that's just going to make your life better, because you're not going to have a miserable partner who's down and out, who's oh, this is so hard, this sucks, because that drags you down along with your partner. But if you're both striving to be better in whatever aspect it is, aren't you going to put each other you're going to put each other up? Now imagine trying to pull someone up a hill that wants to go down the hill, but you want to go up the hill. It's a lot harder than if you both go together. Sit there, take a pit stop together, check out the view, and just experience it together.
I love that. And also think about it, like think about the feeling you get when you achieve your own personal goal. Now think about how you'll feel with your partner if you achieve a goal together. It's like that times 2 100%. With a partner, celebrate together. So it's just such a beautiful thing when you do have common goals. Okay. And then the last green flag is that they make you feel seen, heard, and appreciated. So we'll do an episode on love languages, but in any relationship, if you stop showing your partner that they are seen, that they are heard, and that they are appreciated, resentment will grow. Distance will become more distant. It's just where's the fulfillment in a relationship where you aren't being heard, seen, or appreciated? So the reason I said we'll talk about love languages in another episode is because everyone feels seen, heard, and appreciated in different ways. It might be gifts, it might be words of affirmation, it might be physical touch. So firstly, it's important to figure out what love language your partner prefers. It might be 1, it might be 3. But then that just makes it so much easier to make that person feel seen, heard, and appreciated and validated, because you can give them words of encouragement when you see they need it, or give them a big fat hug when you see they need it, or buy them a gift when you are proud of them and want them to know that you're proud of them. So I love this as a green flag in a relationship.
Brilliant. No, I agree. You can often get people that rely solely on affirmation, they rely solely on people lifting them up. You're so beautiful, you're so clever, you're so smart. And a day goes by and you're like, sorry, you didn't say I was beautiful or clever today. What is wrong with you? So you do get people that rely on people telling them that they're amazing for them to feel good about themselves. Okay, but I think that's different to a love language. Okay, that a love language, it doesn't have to be done all the time and every day, and I'm a word. you can tell when that your person's a little bit down, a little bit off, and you just got that little walk there. It could be a little kiss on the shoulder. That's just, that could be your thing, and that can make it, can change the person's entire day.
100%.
We don't sit and text and WhatsApp each other all day. But every now and then I get a message from you. Oh, I love you. I'm like, oh, cool. That's amazing. She's thinking of me. That's, that's something small like that. That's our little love language we have. But it's not for everyone. Everyone's got their own way of
100%
of having a little trigger.
And I love that you brought that up, because I think it's so important to recognize when you are authentically supporting, seeing, hearing, validating your partner, or it's just coming from like a sense of need or like an ego boost.
Yes.
Because think about it, there are people in relationships that say I love you all the time, but do they really mean it? Like, it's just become a habit of saying I love you. So when it comes from a place of authenticity and from a real place, the meaning is so much more. And you can tell when it's just like a habitual I love you, or a kiss on the mouth when you get home from work or whatever, to when it's actually your partner seeing you and telling you they're proud of you, or giving you a hug because they can see you've had a bad day, or asking you to sit with them, making you a cup of coffee and telling you to tell them about what was shit about your day so you can share in the pain together. So yeah, I think it's just so important to make sure that you do show your partner, whether it's once a day or once a week, just don't make it too distant between, but just to show them that you really do see them, you really do hear them, and they really are appreciated. Alrighty,
man.
Alrighty, thanks guys for listening.
Short and sweet,
we think. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Let us know on Instagram, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Check you later.